There's an event coming up on June the 11th celebrating London on film. It's a night of music performed by the BBC Concert Orchestra, performing themes from films set in London. The orchestra will be conducted by Robert Ziegler, with whom I worked before on the Salford concert, and I'm presenting it, and people will come along and watch it live, or if you can't get there, listen to it on BBC Radio 3. It's going to be a really interesting evening of music. There'll be some obvious choices. We'll have the theme from Alfie, which I think is the thing which pops straight into everybody's head whenever you say London on film. We have Bernard Herrmann's music from Hangover Square, which is one of those examples of a film in which the film isn't so well regarded, but the music is often thought to be better than the film itself. We have Alexander Desplat's music from The King's Speech, which is everybody's favourite film of a couple of years ago. And then some of my favourites, we have Howard Shore's brilliant music from Eastern Promises. That was a film which I think didn't quite get the recognition it deserved. Fantastic use of London locations, and Howard Shore and Cronenberg have worked together time and again, and it's a really fantastic piece of work. Then, of course, we also have, and you may have seen this in the press, Jeff Beck and Pete Townsend coming down to join the orchestra in a performance of a suite of music from Quadrophenia. Now, I know a lot of people think of Quadrophenia as being quintessentially a film about Brighton, but it is, of course, the London to Brighton theme that's central to Quadrophenia. Jimmy begins in London, he goes to Brighton, which is this strange other world, comes back to London, has a bit of a rubbish time, goes back to Brighton. So it is a film which is about the divide between London and Brighton. It started me thinking about which films really sum up the atmosphere of London, both in their images and their setting and their music. I mean, for me, I think one of the classic cases would be a film like Blow Up, the Antonioni film from the 1960s, starring David Hemmings and, of course, Vanessa Redgrave. Rock trivia fans always like to point out that film contains footage of Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page performing together on stage, performing Stroll On, Train Kept A-Rolling, with Janet Street Porter dancing away in the background. And then, of course, there's Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much, which famously climaxes in that extraordinary musical sequence in the Albert Hall. And the Ipcress File with a wonderful theme by John Barry, which we are featuring in the concert on June the 11th. Now, when I think of London on film, those are the films which pop into my mind. But what about you? What do you think is the film which, in terms of images and music, most perfectly captures the spirit in all its different forms of London?